Module 20. Analysing data with scenarios. In Module 20, we'll be looking at creating and showing scenarios, merging scenarios, creating a scenario report, some exercises and their solutions, and a final summary. So why use scenarios? Well, scenarios can be used to create best case or worst case exercises inside a spreadsheet. Merged scenarios can give a good idea of trends, sales, or other particulars that are required to be more informative. And scenario reports can give an overall view of all tested possibilities within one, two, or many spreadsheets. So let's get started. First of all, we should explain what a scenario is. A scenario is a fictional or hypothetical situation that can be applied to a spreadsheet. For example, common scenarios could be best case or worst case scenarios. And we'll show you what we mean by that. We have another fictional spreadsheet for a bicycle shop called Titan Bikes. Titan Bikes had a completed sales sheet for the year 2012. And we've used this by copying all the data within the spreadsheet, including the formulas, and placing it inside a new sheet called the Sales Scenario 2013. If we go back to Sales 2012, it's broken up into three main areas. The informative section, which is just the breakdown of the types of bikes for sale, their costs, and other charges. In the centre, we have the first, second, third, and fourth quarter sales for each type of bike. And on the right-hand side, the yearly sales total of units cost. So copying this data from a completed sheet from 2012 and placing it into the sales scenario sheet gives us an opportunity to start using our scenarios to see what kind of year we may expect for 2013. So let's go ahead and create a scenario. So to create a scenario, we first need to select the range of cells which contain our variables. In this case, it's a cell range G4 to J4. Once we have our cells selected, we can go to the Data tab in the ribbon, the What If analysis, and select Scenario Manager. The Scenario Manager window opens and gives us just two options at this stage, Add and Merge. If we select Merge, there are no scenarios on either of the source sheets, but we can create some by clicking the Add button. We have three options available. The first option is to give our scenario a name. In this case, we'll call this one Expected Sales. The changing cells, or the cells that will contain our variables, are already selected. And we can add a comment if we wish. Once we click OK, the Scenario Values window opens. As these are the expected sales, we'll leave these values unchanged. But now we'll add another scenario. We'll call this scenario Best Case. Again, we click OK. And for the best case scenario, we're going to double the sales values. And now we're going to add the last scenario, which is the worst case. And for this one, we're going to half the sales values. And now we're ready. We click OK. And the Scenarios Manager window now has three different scenarios: the expected sales, the best case, and the worst case. If we click on the expected sales and go to Show, nothing changes within our spreadsheet. If we go to the best case and click Show, the values held within G4 to J4 all double and our formulas are all recalculated. If we now go to the worst case and click Show, our total has dropped by nearly 10,000, and again the values held within G4 and J4 have all dropped. Clicking on expected sales puts it back to the original values. So we've gone ahead and created scenarios for each one of the quarter sales and for each one of the bikes in the different sales scenarios. Just to show how the scenarios work. So now we know how to create scenarios. We can also merge our scenarios across different spreadsheets. We started with the Titan bike sales for 2012 and used this information to create a sales scenario for 2013 that relies on the best, worst and expected sales. We can use the information held in the sales scenario 2013 to further extrapolate and create another sales for 2014. If we wish to see the sales from 2013 within the sales of 2014, we can merge our scenarios. This is particularly useful if we have different shops with different sales and we wish to see the different sales and the scenarios within one range. To do this, we go to the Data tab in the ribbon, go to the What If analysis, again we open the Scenario Manager and go to Merge. The Merge Scenarios window opens and tells us how many scenarios in our three different sheets there are available. As we can see, there are no scenarios in the Sales 2012. But if we go to Sales 2013, there are 3 available here. There are also 3 available in 2014, but of course scenarios can't be merged within the same spreadsheet. So we choose Sales Scenario 2013 and click OK. And now in our Scenario Manager window, we have expected, best case and worst case for 2014, but we can also choose to plug in the expected sales for 2013, best case and worst case as well. So while we're in the Titan Bike Sales 2014, we can select, for example, the best case of 2013 and show that data range within the current spreadsheet. Creating a scenario summary report is very straightforward and is incredibly useful if we wish to see all the data held within our changing cells in one place. To create a summary, go to the spreadsheet that contains the scenarios, so we can either choose 2013 or 2014, but we'll choose 2014 as it has our merged scenarios held within it. Go up to the Data tab in the ribbon, go to the What If analysis, and again the Scenario Manager. Select Summary from the window, and there are 2 types of reports available, a Scenario Summary and a Scenario Pivot Table report. We'll be covering pivot tables in the next section, so we'll keep it simple and just choose the Scenario Summary. The result cells, in this case G5, L4 and G19, are all selected as they're the start of the scenario. While it looks confusing, all the other values currently held within the scenario will also be included. Click OK, and a scenario report is created. In the scenario report, we have the changing cells, their current values, and then we have our scenarios, expected sales, best case and worst case for 2014, and the same again for 2013. Underneath, the values or the results from each one of these scenarios is also listed. So choosing to create a summary will give an overall view of all the scenarios currently held within the report. Remember, the report will only contain the values currently held within the scenarios. If we choose to change any one of these values later on, they will not be updated. So, if the values change again, always remember to create a new summary report to reflect these changes. Okay, so for the exercises, we've removed the sales scenarios 2013 and 2014, and we've also got rid of the scenario summary. So we're back to our original Titan Bike Sales 2012 spreadsheet. For the first exercise, create a scenario that adds €10 to the cost of each bike. Then create another scenario that has €10 less from the cost of each bike. Okay, so to create the scenario, we first need to go to the Data tab in the ribbon, go to the What If analysis and the Scenario Manager. Click Add for a new scenario. The scenario name, we'll just call this one 10. And now we need to define the changing cells. So we click on cell B3, then hold Control, and click the next cells. Click OK, and then start changing the value of each one. And now we can either click OK or click Add, as we need to add a further scenario to this. This one we'll call -10. And our changing cells remain the same. Again, we can remove our comments or add a new one. And now we need to change the values one last time. Click OK. And now we have our 10 and -10 scenarios. So if we click on Show to -10, the value of each cost of the bike drops down by 10, and the rest of the spreadsheet updates accordingly. If we add 10, again the same thing happens. Close, and then undo the two shows to bring it back to the current values. If we wish, we can also create another scenario called Actual, which will keep the current values. For the next exercise, copy the Titan Bike Sales spreadsheet and create a new one called Titan Bike Sales 2013. In the new spreadsheet for 2013, create a scenario where Titan Bikes is going to have a knockdown sale and half the cost of each bike. Okay, so to do this, we first need to select the whole spreadsheet, click on Copy, open up a new sheet, and click Paste. The next stage is to create a new scenario held within the cost of each bike that halves the value currently held within the cells. We can also change the Titan Bike Sales to 2013. Just to make things consistent. So we go to the Data tab in the ribbon, go to the What If analysis and the Scenario Manager. Remember, when we copy spreadsheets, we don't copy the scenarios, we only copy the values. So the first two scenarios we created in the first exercise are still held in the Sales 2012 sheet. Click on Add. This time we'll call the scenario name Half Price. and then we select our changing cells. Add our cells into the scenario. Again, remove or change the comment if we wish, and click OK. Now for the scenario values, we need to half each value currently held within our changing cell. And then click OK. We can show our new scenario, and again, the cost is halved in each one of the bike ranges and our entire spreadsheet is updated. And lastly, always remember to click undo to remove the showing scenario. For the last exercise, merge the scenarios within the Titan Bike Sales 2012 spreadsheet and then create a summary report. Okay, so the last exercise is quite straightforward. We go to the Data tab, What If Analysis and Scenario Manager and choose Merge. Choose Sheet 1 where our other scenario is contained and click OK. And now within the Titan Bike Sales 2012 spreadsheet we now have the 3 scenarios, and we can check this by showing them. And then finally we can create a summary. We want a scenario summary and we click OK. And there we have our current values, plus 10 to the cost of the bikes, minus 10 to the cost of the bikes, and of course the half price. And each of the result cells gives us our total. So in summary, scenarios can show an almost limitless range of possibilities in one spreadsheet. Merging scenarios from other spreadsheets can not only save time, but show trends that may not be immediately relevant by simply using static data. And finally, using scenario summaries, particularly with merged scenarios, can show the overall view of all explored possibilities. Thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next module.